Okay, so what we have is a container of NO and O2. They're two separate containers, so what we need to do is we need to know the moles in each container before we can react them with each other. So how do you know the moles? We have N equals PV over RT. So if you know the moles of one, that will tell you how much you have in each container. So we know enough information to find the moles of each one. Then we need to do a limiting reactant problem. So we need to convert from moles of our reactant to moles of product. Since the ratio of NO to NO2 is 2 to 2, those moles will be equal. Then you find your moles of oxygen and see how much NO2 you would make. Whatever you make less of is your limiting reactant. So, whichever one is limiting, in my case this was NO. Excuse me. What you find is that one is not present at the end of the reaction. That means the one that's not limiting and the product will both be present at the end of the experiment. Also, what that means is if you've used up all your reactant, your partial pressure will be 0. So now we need to find the partial pressures of the other gases. So what we need to do for that is using our moles that we have left over, we can figure out the new pressure in the container. So now, if you look at this somewhat sloppy work, what you see is that I have the moles of NO2 from the NO and moles of NO2 from oxygen. I took the difference to figure out how much NO2 I would make extra using oxygen as the limiting reactant, and I converted that back to how much oxygen I should have left at the end of the reaction. I added up to get the total moles because what we need to know is how much is going to be in there so that we can find the pressure. So now this is the pressure after the reaction. So notice I used the total volume in the container after the reaction, that's right here, and I used the temperature, which was given in the problem, and the total moles. So I found the pressure after the reaction. The partial pressure is defined as the moles of one reactant, one gas, so moles of oxygen over the total moles times the total pressure. And that's how I got the partial pressure of oxygen. Then I did the same thing for NO2. So I took the moles of NO2 divided by the total moles times the total pressure, and I got 0.639 atmospheres for the partial pressure of NO2.